Good evening. It's 6 o'clock on Friday, January 13th, 2017. Welcome and thank you for joining us tonight for the English edition of Aura News, where we bring you today's top stories translated into English every weeknight. The Ad Hoc Parliamentary Commission on Electoral Reform gathered today to discuss changes to the Electoral Code for the upcoming June 18th elections. A draft containing 36 proposals from both political parties and civil society was presented at the Commission. The proposals are related to administering the electoral process, party funding, transparency on campaigns, appointing the observers, training of commissioners, the financial costs, election coverage, electoral materials, the system of voting and counting, electoral lists, migrant voting, and electoral crime. The opposition boycotted the Commission meeting in protest for changing the Electoral Code to use electronic voting and counting. The Socialist Party destroyed the reform. We cannot have free elections without the electoral reform. The Democratic Party supports decriminalization and political party funding, but these have no impact on the citizens' vote. We want for voter identification to be made with fingerprints, not an ID. Electronic voting avoids commissioners and party militants having control over the process. Electronic voting avoids corruption of the commissioner. The opposition's proposal is electronic voting and counting. There cannot be electoral reform and there cannot be free elections without electronic voting, declared the Democrat MP Bulukbashi. The majority agreed with electronic voting in principle, but asked that the OSCE opinion be taken for this case. The Democratic Party is making efforts to avoid the OSCE recommendations. 2 electronic voting pilot projects were done in 2013, and they both failed. We have agreed on introducing technology for elections, but we cannot exclude the OSCE recommendations. There is not enough time for electronic voting and counting, replied the Socialist MP Bala. Two governmental allies, the Socialist Party and the Socialist Movement for Integration Party, continue to have different stances over using an open list electoral system for the upcoming parliamentary elections. During a meeting organized by civil society to discuss changes to the Electoral Code, the vice chairman of the Socialist Party parliamentary group declared that the open list system would make the vote counting process too difficult. The chairman of the Central Electoral Commission was of the same mind, expressing against open lists, declaring that the system would not bring enough improvement to the electoral process. However, the Socialist Movement for Integration considers the open list system as the optimal choice, with the SMI MP Petrit Vasili saying that open lists give citizens the opportunity to choose among the candidates determined by the parties. Changes to the Electoral Code are expected to be made by the Ad Hoc Commission on Electoral Reform, which still has a month's time to finalize the code. Austria's Minister of Interior, Wolfgang Sobotka, held a meeting today with the Albanian Minister of Interior, Samir Tahiri. After the meeting, they gave a joint press conference where the Austrian minister declared that the European Union wants Albania to join it and that Austria supports Albania's integration. Mr. Sobotka, the Austrian Minister of Interior, praised the results reached so far in the fight against narcotics, saying, Albania has taken major initiatives to fight crime and arms trafficking, but in particular in combating drug trafficking. Albania has a strategic role in this war because it is located at a key point on the road where drug trafficking between South America and Afghanistan is being made. Today, we talked about creating an order with Austria that traces wanted persons. It is also important for the fight against drug trafficking, he declared. Meanwhile, the Albanian Minister of Interior emphasized that exchanging information in the fight against organized crime is very important. The ministers also discussed the migrant issue and border security. According to Minister Tahiri, Albania is not at risk of being part of any migratory flux itinerary during 2017. Prime Minister Rama held a meeting with the students of excellence, whom he highly praised for their scores on the Program for International Student Assessment, known as PISA, in 2015. During that meeting, the Prime Minister spoke against the old educational system, calling it a betrayal of the new generation. The Prime Minister added that the education system reform has given Albania another identity, one that has brought fundamental changes. We have undertaken a reform that the previous government did not do. They preferred to distribute fictitious diplomas, which were in fact not only an illusion, but a major betrayal to the future of the coming generation. However, it is never too late. Your generation will have the necessary knowledge to change the world, because changing the world starts from your home, starts from your community, the Prime Minister said. Prime Minister Rama called the students of excellence inspirational models, saying, "You are a source of inspiration and a model of success even to me," adding that the reform for the education system is beginning to show positive results. "We are determined to continue with the education reform to achieve scores like these," said the Prime Minister. The Minister of Education was present at the meeting and praised the excellent students, asking them to pay attention to their studies as they, the students, are important for the future. Trade exchanges between Albania and Kosovo have seen a decrease in the last 2 years, triggering the Chamber of Commerce leaders to propose creating a joint economic office to deal with difficulties entrepreneurs are facing. The heads of the Albanian and Kosovar Chambers of Commerce have declared that regional competition and political developments are affecting the economic development between the two countries. The new economic office, which is expected to start operating on Monday, are hoping to deal with the hurdles being faced by entrepreneurs trying to make trade exchanges between Albania and Kosovo. Both Chambers of Commerce leaders propositioned the Albanian and Kosovar governments to remove customs obligations between the two countries and to draft a strategic plan for national economic relations, for the promotion and enhancement of procedures for using complementary resources. Tirana's mayor inspected the construction of new housing for needy families today, among them 50 families of the Rama community. The mayor declared that work is the best answer for solving housing problems. "I think this is good for the community and also a way to show how things are done in Albania. We are divided into two categories: people who point their fingers slandering about everything and people who find ways to solve any problem. I believe we are part of the second category. We see a problem and we think how to solve that problem without slandering or trying to find the guilty. We all know this situation was inherited, a problem of many years," said the mayor, adding that receiving shelter in these houses will be given with conditions. The mayor stated, "One of the conditions for shelter in these homes will be that children go to school. The other condition is that people from 16 to 30 years old must attend a vocational course. We believe we can help them with shelter, but education, emancipation, and vocational training will be their ticket out of poverty," concluded the mayor, who was accompanied by the Minister of Finance. The Minister of Finance declared that the project is part of the solidarity package prepared by the Albanian government and City Hall for needy families. That's all for our English edition this evening. Please join us again Monday through Saturday at 6 p.m. for your local news in English. My name is Mari, and on behalf of Aura News, thank you and good night.